tell us a little bit about the actual legislation and you know, what kind of your thoughts are on it.
Yeah, so there were two ways probably to deal with the ongoing difficulties with the protocol, either to trigger Article 16, which wouldn't have brought about an immediate end to all of the problems. It probably would have brought us into mediation with the European Union, or to actually have legislation put onto the domestic statute book, which dealt with the internal market. Now, if you look at the protocol, and goodness, have we all not had to look at the protocol recently, it talks about respecting the internal market of the United Kingdom, but then actually goes about dismantling the internal market of the UK by putting up barriers between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And I'll give you a little example. There was a news story in our papers here in Northern Ireland, in the newsletter, I think, just last week, where a florist who normally would have sourced his flowers and plants from England has now to source them from either the Republic of Ireland or Holland. That has doubled his prices, but he has had to do that because the person who he used to get his goods from simply doesn't want to go through all of the paperwork and cost, so they have stopped supplying Northern Ireland. And there are a lot of suppliers in England now not supplying Northern Ireland because of the cost and because of the paperwork. And therefore, trade diversion is taking place. And trade diversion means that instead of the internal market of the UK functioning, people in Northern Ireland, small businesses, entrepreneurs are having to look for their goods elsewhere. And that's just not acceptable in terms of the United Kingdom. So this bill that has been led by the Foreign Secretary seeks to deal with that. It also seeks to deal with the problem for unionists around the Act of Union. It says right at the beginning that the Act of Union will be respected. But of course, it's not how a bill starts, as you will know, Diane, it's how a bill ends. And we'll be watching very carefully to see what amendments are put forward and whether that nullifies what has started out as a reasonable bill, I have to say. But we'll wait and see what happens as it passes through the legislature.
Too, because you know the European Union are kind of up in arms about this legislation. You know, those in support say the legislation aims to actually protect our own union. What do you make of it? Do you think the government is getting the balance right on this, and do you think the EU are acting as fair actors?
No, they're not acting as fair actors. I mean, they've had 18 months to deal with the difficulties that have been very obvious right from the start. They, of course, are the only people that have triggered Article 16, you'll remember, over vaccines back in January of last year. And they have refused to negotiate in a meaningful way. And Lord Frost put forward a command paper with a lot in it last July. There's been no response to that. And it's quite disingenuous from the European Union to say that they're shocked at what has happened, because they have refused to seek a new mandate from their member states to deal with these issues. Meanwhile, we have the Republic of Ireland saying, oh, we must negotiate this out and we must deal with this. And Brussels is saying, well, we're not negotiating anymore. That's the end of it. It's either the protocol or nothing. So this is a bit like Europe always, Deanna, if I can say this. When David Cameron went to seek changes to our relationship with the European Union, the answer was more Europe. And a bit like that, the Europeans are saying, no, the protocol is the answer. No, it's not the answer. It has to be something better than the protocol and something that actually does respect not only the Belfast Agreement, but the internal market of the United Kingdom.